Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this video here, I take 10 common rocks, cut them in half so we both can look and see what's inside, and then I'll take those 10 rocks and I'll make a cabochon out of each one of them. And then at the end of this episode, I got the cabs from episode 44, and those are the Rhode Island rocks that Roger sent, and we're going to take a look at those, so stick around for that. So I got 10 rocks from the UK that Malcolm was kind enough to send over, another batch from the UK. These are really good looking rocks here too. So let's bring the camera around and we'll take a closer look at these rocks here. So here are the rocks that Malcolm sent me from the UK. Quite a good selection here. Got some interesting looking rocks. And then I picked out two right here that I want to see what's inside of them. So we'll cut these at the end. But let's take a look at these things. So this one here kind of looks like jade or almost like banded rhyolite. Not positive. No, I'm not familiar with any of the rocks from over there. I'm just going to probably be guessing at a lot of these. So let's get this, dunk it in a bath here and take a closer or a good look at it. There you go. I'm hoping it's solid and fracture free on the inside. I think we'll have something cool looking there. And then we got this black and white one here. I thought that looked pretty interesting. Look at that. Look at the contrast on that. Got a little yellow staining on the bottom. I don't know if that'll go in the rock or not, but I think that'll look pretty neat. And I picked this one out here. This thing is super heavy. I don't think it's metal, but it, you know, you look at it, after a while you pick up rocks and you kind of know what they weigh, but man, this one's got some weight to it. So I'm definitely curious what's inside here. Got this one here. It's got some fortifications running through it. Now I'm hoping it's clean on the inside because there's a lot of porosity and fissures kind of running through there. And I already know I'm going to split it right down the middle like that. So I'm hoping we can get a solid enough piece to make a cool cab. And there's fortifications up here too. You can kind of see them. So I'm kind of hopeful for this one. All right, got this one here. And this one's got fortifications in it too. So that's what that one looks like. Look at that. A little larger one here. It's got some layering in it. Kind of looks quartz. Kind of looks like quartz. Maybe quartzite. That's kind of neat. A little one here, some layered going on in it. Almost looks like fortifications right there. Kind of a green-white theme going on. Yeah. Get another green and white one here. This one's definitely green and white. Look at that. Well, if I can get a good cut out of this, I think we'll be doing well. I got this one here. Kind of marbled up, a little red in there. A little brown, tan, a lot of white. Don't see any fortifications in there, but I'm hoping this goes inside the rock and it's solid. There's no pits, like right there. And finally we got this one here. That's kind of what it looks like there. Look at that. That's pretty intense. Okay, we're going to gather these rocks up and we're going to go downstairs and we are going to cut them in half and see what is inside. So we'll see you on the saw. Okay, we're down here on my high-tech 10-inch trim saw. And the first thing I'm going to show you is this is a continuous rim sintered diamond blade. It uses diamonds to cut, not a sharp edge. So I'm rubbing my thumb on it right now. and it don't even cut the glove. So this thing will not cut my fingers if I touch it. So don't worry about me cutting my fingers. And the other thing I usually do is to expose more diamonds to get a better cut on these rocks. I'll run it through a coarse grinding disc about 3 times, and I'll expose more diamonds so we can get through these things. All right, let's start cutting. All right, first up is this one here. Kind of a quartzite looking thing. I'm going to split it right down the middle. Now, first I'm going to touch up the saw. All right, now I'm going to split it right down the middle. All right, episode 45. Let's see what Malcolm sent me. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Okay, now we're going to talk about these upstairs in a little more in depth. So we're just going to get through the cut. So this one here, got these fortifications right there. So I'm going to cut this edge off right here. See what we got. Ooh. And it's like looking at an agate here. That is cool. All right, got this big heavy thing here. I'm thinking I'm just going to cut this side off here. See, it made my water kind of rusty looking. I wonder what's inside this rock here. Not much. A little porous too. All right, we'll make it work. All right, got this one here. It's got some fortifications on it, and I'm going to split it right down the center. Okay, excited to see what's in this one. Ooh, look at that. Malcolm, you're doing really good here. That is cool. I'm not seeing a lot of porosity. Well, I don't know. We'll see. All right, got this high contrasty black and white one here. Thinking I'm just going to split it right down here. I'm hoping this kind of looks like in the inside like it does in the outside. Wow. That is going to make a cool looking cabochon. Alright, got this red one here. I'm going to split him right down the center. See what we got. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Kind of struggle. I think there's a flat side right here. I'm going to cut this flat side off there. All right, let's see what kind of pattern we ended up with here. Ah, there we go. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted. I want a little solid. I want a little speckled. So I think that was a good cut right there. Wow. This one here, kind of a hole there. I think I'm going to cut this side off here. That'll get half of this and whatever this is here. Let's see what we got. Okay. It's kind of cool looking. Got the stripey one here. I'm just going to split it right down the middle here. See what we got. Alright. Color and pattern. Look at that. Okay. And this one here. I'm going to split it right down the middle. This one looks like. Ooh. Nice. Really nice. Alright, and a couple extra ones here that I'm curious what's inside of them. So this one here, I'm going to cut this side off here, or I'm just going to split it down the middle. Okay, it's like a chunk of flint or something. Alright, now this one and this one here, I'm not going to make cabs. I'm just curious what's inside of them. So let's split this one right down the middle. Okay, that's kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to take these rocks upstairs and we're going to look at them and talk about them a little bit, and then we'll look at some cool cabochons afterwards. Alright, these are the rocks that Malcolm sent me from the UK, and I think a lot of them are looking really, really nice, and all you got was a sneak peek downstairs. Now we're going to look at them a little closer here. So look at this red one first. Give it a bath to get some of the crumbs off. Okay. Now if it was from around here, I'd say jasper and something else. You can see there's a lot of pitting and stuff on the outside, but man, look at the inside of this thing. Got some pretty cool looking patterns in there. To me, it almost looks like jasper with hematite, but I'm not sure about the silver stuff. I will know for sure when I polish it if it's hematite. Yeah, look at that. There's the outside. Color and pattern. Right, we got this one here. So this one had kind of a quartzy looking top to it, and then it had all this interesting stuff on the bottom here. So I tried to split that. Look at that. The only problem is I'm seeing a lot of pits right along, running right along in here. Right along there. So I might go into this rock a little bit deeper, because it would be nice, because I see a lot of cool pattern, and then with this dark stuff on the bottom down here, will make an awesome cabochon. But I like to have them relatively pit free if I can. Yeah, look at that. So there's the rock again. Yeah, that's cool. We had this black and white one here, which I kind of like the black and white ones, because I really like the contrast in a lot of these. And this one had a cool pattern too, with the white all kind of busted up in the black, or the black all busted up in the white. I guess it depends on how you look at it. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And all these rocks were relatively hard, so I'm almost positive they're going to make some really nice shiny cabochons. Yeah, look at that. And then the staining was on the outside, which is kind of cool too. I mean, I don't mind the yellowish color, but you can tell that's not, you know, the same as the rock is. Yeah. Yeah, this one here is running right in front is my favorite one. So this is the outside. Look at the fortifications in there. I mean, this is so agate-like. Look at that. And it's relatively void and fracture free, which is always a plus. You know, a few pits and cracks down here, but the piece I cut off is awesome. You had this big one here, kind of a gray orange theme going. Look at the lines in there. This thing's like just smooth from the cut, so that should make an interesting cab. I'm not seeing any cracks in there either. You had this green and white one here. Look at that. Kind of almost like a bluish green maybe in the inside. Got a fracture right there. I think we can work around that. Really smooth cut. Yeah, it's looking pretty nice. You had this little stripy one here. Nice pattern on the outside, almost like fortifications. Look at that. Nice and smooth, no pits. I want to see. That'll be interesting. Now this one here, I'm really thinking about this one here. This thing, it just, like I said, it's so heavy, and I don't know, it's just full of pits. You can see them all over the place in there. But this thing is looks almost like it's metallic. Look at that. So I'm not really sure if this has got hematite in it, because when I cut it, it left, I showed you on the saw deck, it left kind of an orange stain in the water, and usually hematite will leave a rust looking stain. So I'll have to do a little research on this one. Unless, Malcolm, if you're watching, unless you know exactly what this is, you want to give me a shout, that would help too. But like I said, this thing's really heavy for its size. I'm just hoping, you know, I might go ahead and do it, you know, make a cab even if it has a few pits in it, but I might take another slice off at this side here. And I like the little bits of quartz or whatever's in there. And we had this really colorful rock here. Look at the pattern on that. And then, like I said, I wanted the solid and I wanted the dots, and I thought we did pretty good there. I got everything I wanted. So hopefully I can get a nice, cool looking cab out of this one. I like the orange and the greenish, dark greenish color there. And then finally we got this one here. Another one just heavy with fortifications. But it had this line of pits running down both sides. Look at the pattern in here. So the top looks like it's pretty clean, and then the pits and the cracks start along here, and then there's pits right along here. So it'll probably just be this side here, and I think it's big enough to get a cool looking cab out of. Wow. So these are the rocks that Malcolm sent from the UK. I will make cabochons out of them, and you will see them in episode 46. So come on back and check that out. And now we're going to move these out of the way, and we're going to look at cabochons that Roger had sent, the rocks I made cabochons out of from episode 44, and take a look at those. I just wanted to show you quick. I forgot to bring these out when I had the other rocks. I had them laying off the side. These are the little bonus rocks I cut here. So they had this little square one here with the little lines and stuff in it. And that's what that one looked like on the inside. And then I had this this one with all these holes, kind of Cal Sidney looking rock, maybe flint, I'm not sure. And that's what that one looked like on the inside. So these two rocks here, I will make cabochons out of them eventually, but it won't be for this episode here. But just every once in a while I get a rock, they send extras, and I like to see what's inside of them. So I figure I'm on the saw, I'm going to cut them. So that's what those two look like. All right, let's look at some cabochons now. Roger sent me a selection of rocks that he picked up in Rhode Island, and had some cool looking stuff, but I had some problematic stuff here too. But we did okay. I was able to make a cool looking cabochon out of each one of these. So let's start with this one here. All right, you had this big orange one here, and I was thinking it was feldspar because I was looking at the way, you know, it had a I don't know if I can get the light here. It had the planes, like flat spots like feldspar normally has. So let's get it wet here. And then it had this quartz, smoky quartz stuff running through there like that. Well, the first cut was like this, and all I had problems with was the rock would just crumble. When I went to put the pattern on there and start cutting it, boom, it would just fall apart. So I ended up cutting it cross grain like this, then I had a little better luck. So I made two cabochons because I was afraid I was going to have breakage. So there they are right there. Really good shine. I managed to get some of the quartz, especially in this one here. Look at that. Nice shine. Got a cool pattern in it. And then this one here. And then in addition to these two, I had two more standing by to just in case these two didn't come out. So there's the cabochons. And there's the rock I made out of. All right, this one here had this feldspar in there. And I managed to cut the side that had a couple chunks in there. I thought that looked kind of cool. It had some kind of a crackly looking spots on it, but man, another beautiful shine. And, you know, kind of interesting, you know, a little orange into this gray here. So, hey, I thought it'd come out pretty good. So there's the original rock. There's cabochon I made out of it. So then I had this rock here with a green on each side, and I'm not sure what the green is. Like I say, when you find green up here, it's usually epidote. That's kind of what it looked like wet, but it had some pattern and stuff going on there. It was relatively solid. So here's cabochon I made out of it. Another nice shine. Look at that, beautiful shine. Had some pattern in there. Got some of the green. So not too shabby, I don't think. So there's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. So this one was just like a piece of quartz, and they had this cap on here, which I thought, well, good. I can use that to keep the cabochon kind of interesting. There's what it looked like. And here's the cabochon. Another beautiful shine. I managed to get a piece of that cap on there, or actually that's on the bottom of this cab. And that, you know, I can't complain, man. This thing looks pretty cool. So there's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. This one here had this kind of a rose-colored mixture in there, and it had some pattern going on in there too. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but you can kind of see some subtle pattern in there with that. I made a natural shaped cabochon out of this, and I think I managed to capture most of that. Let me get the water off of it. There, another beautiful shine. I'm quite pleased with this one. There's original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. Hey, this one I had all kinds of issues with. This stuff, whatever it is, it's relatively soft, especially when you get out on the edges here and you can see the cracks and stuff in there. I had to go at this a couple times because it kept falling apart on me. But look at that. Not a bad shine for as soft as it was. A few little pits and undercutting. Kind of a neat little pattern there. There's the back. And I don't know. I think I squeaked this one out okay. So there's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. All right, this is another one that had some fortifications, kind of looping through the bottom there. Get it wet here. You can kind of see them right through there. Here is the cabochon I made. Had some fractures in it, but nothing that was going to cause any problems. And you can kind of see the fortifications. You know, I kind of turned it this way. The shine is just gorgeous on this thing. Look at that. Now you can kind of see the lines pretty good back here, but they're there on the front too. So there's the cabochon, and there's the original rock I made it out of. Right, we had this piece of quartz here. Kind of, I wouldn't say too plain because it did have some pattern kind of stuff trying to grow in there. You can kind of see that. Had a few fractures, so I had to watch out for that. And here's cabochon, another beautiful shine. You can see some of the pattern in there. A little fracture right in the back, but it didn't come through in the front, which is pretty cool. So there's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. All right, this one here was kind of a disappointment. It had this cool fortification running on the bottom down here, but it also had these pockets, these soft pockets all over the place on this side, plus it had druzy pockets. In the original cut, I cut it off the end. I had to go back and make another cut. And then here's the cabochon I made. Now, because of these soft pockets in there, I had a bigger cabochon and it had a pocket in here, and I just couldn't. It was so soft, it kept kind of digging in, and it made the cab not look good. So I went ahead and I put a different shaped cab and just went a little smaller. So I think I pretty much caught the essence of, I got the fortification running through here. You can actually see it a little better over here, but it just didn't quite make it on this side. Super shine, no problem there. And that's just the problem you run into sometimes with these rocks. You know, they look really good on the outside, but when you cut them open, they're not good on the inside. But I think it came out pretty good considering. So there's the cabochon, and there is the original rock. And then this one here, I thought it was nice, but man, it's just way soft to be nice, and it was crumbly like crazy. Actually, I could probably break it. No, okay. It was breaking on these lines right here. It had it, you know, I liked it. There's kind of what it looked like wet. Well, here's the cabochon right there. Some of it got a really good shine, and some of it got a lot of pitting and, you know, undercutting and stuff. But I mean, overall, I think it looks pretty good. We got some pattern in there. I made it lengthwise with the grain this way to make sure it wouldn't break on me. So you got to kind of think about those things when you're making cabs out of some of these rocks here. So there's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. So considering some of the problems I had, all in all, I think these cabochons came out really good. And the shine on most of them is exceptional. So there's no complaints there. This one here was problematic. This one here, and this one here, but I think we did okay. I think we got some really nice cabochons out of them, and I think, yeah. So I'm gonna let Roger pick 3 of these for himself, and then whatever leftovers will end up on the Etsy page, and that's in the description down below if you want to check that out. Well, I hope you enjoyed me cutting in rocks from the UK. Malcolm, you sent some really nice specimens here, and I'm already thinking of what kind of cabochons I can make out of these rocks that you sent. So you can come back next week and see those cabochons. And then the rocks that Roger sent from Rhode Island, I can take any rock and I can make a cab out of it, but can you make a cool looking cab and not have a lot of problems with it? I think we did really well here, and we got some really super shiny rocks, got some interesting patterns, had to make little concessions here and there, but I think we did very well. And Roger, I really appreciate you sending the rocks. I hope you pick out 3 nice ones for yourself. Like I said, all the cabs will be on Etsy, link down below in the description. I'd like to thank all the subscribers out there. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's absolutely free. You just push the button down below. Helps me out a lot here. And once you subscribe, slide over, give me a thumbs up, and then you can ring the bell, hyperlink it, and share it. Hyperlink it on your mobile device. And then that helps me out even more. I like to get out there, I like to spread the word here. I'm gonna put a playlist up for all the videos in this series so you can binge watch them. And then when you get done binge watching those, there's another playlist of my cabochons. Binge watch those. And then you can kind of go back and forth if you don't remember. And then, I'll be putting out a video every Wednesday and every Saturday. This video comes out Wednesday and my cabochon series comes out on Saturdays. Every Wednesday, every Saturday. YouTube will put a pic up there for me after I put the playlist. I don't know, someplace up here, and then there's something in the middle there. Thanks for coming along and watching me cut these rocks in half and checking out these cool cabochons I made. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate you donating some rocks this way, and we're having a lot of fun doing this. So that's all I got, and I'll catch you later.